Good morning and welcome to Mosaic. I'm Rabbi Eric Weiss and honored to be your host this morning. Faith communities across our country have very serious conversations about their own economic health and vitality. We'd like to invite you into a wonderful conversation on this topic with Cindy Rogoway, who is the Executive Director of Hebrew Free Loan. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. So let's jump in and ask you, what is Hebrew Free Loan?
Well, Hebrew Free Loan, to discuss it, is really to talk about its history. We're 120 years old, which is a very special time for us. We've been celebrating all year that we've reached that point. We were created in 1897 by a group of people who were studying the Torah, because really the mission of our agency comes directly from the Torah. And this group of individuals took a look and said, look at this. It shows in the Torah that God tells Moses not to charge interest, basically, to his people, and that it's really important not to benefit from another person's troubles. So based on that, they decided to make it a reality, and they created, initially it was called Gemilut Chasadim, acts of loving kindness, later became known as the Hebrew Free Loan. And what they did was they each agreed to donate 25 cents into a pot until each month, until they had enough money to make their first loan. And the loans are always still, 120 years later, interest-free, primarily to members of the Jewish community. And the loans are paid back over time. We have an amazing repayment rate still 120 years later. Our repayment rate is 99.75%.
Wow. Yeah. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about concrete programs and have a few people who will talk in a more personal way about the way that they elevated their own economic health and vitality through Hebrew Free Loan. But if we rewind to 1897 in San Francisco, in the state of California, can you talk a little bit about what was going on that actually had these visionaries say, we need to do this on behalf of our own community for our future, because it's quite a vision and quite a legacy.
It is. It's one that I'm proud to help usher into this century and beyond. What they were facing at the time, when you think of the California gold rush, we had a lot of immigrants who were new to the community, who were all part of that effort to, pave a better path for their own families. And Jews who were coming here at that time faced a lot of anti-Semitism, and it was difficult for them to get any kind of financial support that others might be able to avail themselves of. And so this was an opportunity to provide for their own members of the community by donating a little bit of money to create that pool of funds. So I think there were some very real economic hardships that they were all facing at the time, and they felt this would make it a little bit easier.
Wow. So, 1897 to 2017, it's just interesting, no matter what the political structures are in the San Francisco Bay Area, our state, or really the nation or the world, that issues around how people come anew to a place, whether you're an immigrant or whether you're a transplant, the way you come to a place with a new vision, and you have a lot of energy, but you may not have the money.
Exactly.
And that's the marriage. And I'm just wondering, as we sort of turn to folks who have benefited by Hebrew Free Loan, if you can just comment on that kind of, if I can call it, an economic marriage of how you bring human capacity to an economic support system, and what that does to build resilience in a community.
Well, I thank you for that question. Our mission is really to help people become and remain self-sufficient at the core of what we do. And we do that by means of providing interest-free loans, much like a family member might. And especially for immigrants and others who are living in an environment where they don't have that family support to provide the necessary financial means. We're like an extended family, offering that key to their future, whether it's to help them get back on track financially. We offer personal loans, emergency bankruptcy loans, unemployment loans, anything, debt consolidation loans, where people are having literally financial troubles. And we also provide loans much like a family would for people that are trying to really fulfill their dreams. So it might be education loans, it might be business loans, adoption and fertility loans.
Wow, so a range of issues that influence economic vitality. We're going to take a quick break and come back to our conversation with Cindy Rogoway with Hebrew Free Loan in just a moment.
The push for a state law to ban this behavior.
People can die looking at their cell phones.
We learned a local supervisor wants to reduce pedestrian accidents with no phone zones. Police could ticket you for watching your screen instead of the crosswalk.
That's a tough call to make.
This is a 21st century solution to a 21st century problem.
Expect original reporting from KPIX 5 News. Expect more.
You've seen how recent hurricanes have devastated whole communities, flooding and destroying homes. Join Habitat for Humanity as we work with families to repair and rebuild. You can help someone desperately in need of a place to call home. We will rebuild, but only with your help. Visit Habitat.org to support Habitat's work.
Monday, September 25th, CBS is smart from the start.
Isn't that exciting?
Oh, dear.
First, the season premiere of America's #1 comedy.
Cheers!
Answers America's #1 question.
Will you marry me?
Then meet the high school freshman as brilliant as Sheldon Cooper.
Hey, that could be me.
Sheldon Cooper.
I saw one boy with a T-shirt that said, "Bite me."
Yeah, that's terrible.
Don't miss the series premiere of Young Sheldon after the Big Bang Theory season premiere. CBS Monday, September 25th. New this fall, Elliot Gould, Linda Lavin, and Mark Feuerstein.
What are you guys doing?
We just want to watch.
9JKL premieres Monday, October 2nd.
Good morning and welcome back to Mosaic. I'm Rabbi Eric Weiss and honored to be your host this morning. We're in the middle of a wonderful conversation about issues of economic vitality and resilience in faith communities, and I'd like to reintroduce you to Cindy Rogoway, who is the Executive Director of Hebrew Free Loan, and with her is Greg Matt, who is a business loan recipient from Hebrew Free Loan. Welcome back, Cindy and Greg.
Thank you so much.
So Greg, let's just jump in and ask you what your experience is with Hebrew Free Loan.
Okay, sure. Well, a while back, I had a dream of starting my own food truck. It was actually a Philz Coffee Truck. So I was with the company for many years and decided to start something fresh and new, and I wanted to build one myself, and I got the approval and the okay from Phil. And but the only caveat was that I had to fund it and build it and design it. So I was really excited about it. Until I got to a point where I was not able to find the funds and was running into all kinds of problems with banks and so forth because I had no prior experience in owning a business. And so I was told that there is such a program as a Hebrew Free Loan, actually from my mom, who used to work for an agency with Cindy in the past. And so she said, well, go ahead and look it up and check it out. So I went in there and I met Cindy and told her about my concept, my idea, my passions, and what I wanted to do. And Cindy was very supportive. And we went through the whole process of making it happen. And yeah, so that's kind of how it happened.
You know, in a moment where it'd be interesting to sort of talk about the process of doing this and how Hebrew Free Loan sees its role in it. But I want to ask you, Greg, we live in a part of the country that, in a stereotypical way, and certainly not just stereotypically, but in lived truth day to day, is filled with this notion of the human spirit and ideas and entrepreneurialism and how do you make a dream come true. And I'm just wondering, as you were thinking through your dream of doing things, like what was it about this dream? What was it about a food truck? Sort of how did you come to into this kind of a concept so that you could go into Cindy and Hebrew Free Loan and answer, I would assume, basic questions about how come a food truck, how come Philz Coffee, why this, why that. So if you can you give us a little bit of your entrepreneurial spirit and to give us a sense of what that was for you?
Well, I've always wanted to kind of have something that's my own. I always wanted to kind of work for myself, and I wanted to stand behind that's bigger than me. And I always believed in our company and what we tried to do. And Phil of Philz Coffee gave me this opportunity to have something that I can call my own. And it came in the form of a food truck. And I was passionate about it. I'm excited about it. And so I was determined to do whatever it took to make it happen. I basically wanted to kind of help him grow the company in other ways and yet still have something that I can call my own. And that was really the whole idea. It was just to kind of have a start in business life and, grow it, make it happen. So that was why
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I came to be.
It was really that drive that I witnessed when Greg came into the office. I could tell he had that passion, which is something I look for when I'm vetting our business loan applicants. I could tell that he had an idea. He had a path. He knew exactly what he needed to do to make it successful. His financials were all together and organized and clear. I could see that it was a viable business, and furthermore, I have a committee of very successful business people who were able to evaluate it. And I saw that he had the drive to really see the plan through, and that was really what impressed me about Greg.
Can you, Cindy, give us a little bit of a sense of what happens on the inside about how Hebrew Free Loan comes to a yes?
Right.
Passion, business plan, other elements. What gets to a yes?
Well, first of all, there is a lengthier process for business loans than other loan requests that come our way, but it really is meant to vet the business, the viability of the business plan. And we look at the financials, we look at projections for the coming year, we look at the assumptions that are made behind those projections, we look at how well the person is situated, what kind of advisors he or she has, and just the kind of support, financial and otherwise, around them to make sure they can weather any storms. And we like to see that our funds that we provide will provide up to $50,000 for a business loan. Sometimes that's all the person needs. Sometimes it's a piece of the puzzle. But we like to understand how our money is going to fit into their overall plan to make it possible.
That's so great. Believe it or not, we're going to have to take a quick break. But before we do, Greg, can you just give a sense of sort of what keeps you going in your business? What is it that drives you and feeds you as you move forward?
That's a great question, because when you own a business, there's just a lot of ups and downs, You're going to have your good days, fun days, and then you're going to have some down days. But what really keeps me going is that we're part of a community, and that every day we show up and we have people that love us, support us, and have done for many, many years. So I'm really doing this because, number one, we have built a great team, and we're offering people jobs, and it's something that I've always believed in. So if you can grow the business, then you're helping not only yourself, but it's also people around you. And of course, just being there for those, clientele of yours, their families, those people who really believe in you, and it kind of something to thrive on. And just the nature of growth, I just want to keep on pushing and growing and doing bigger, better, better things.
Thank you so much. We're going to say goodbye to Greg in just a moment and return here to Mosaic and have the conversation continue with Cindy Rogoway and Hebrew Free Loan.
Keep on marching on. Be safe, call when you can. Head down to the market town.
Make it back home to us.
Hello.
Keep on marching. Keep on marching. Keep on.
You can run, but you can't hide. this.
Keep on marching on. You were always worth the chaos. You captured me.
CBS Premiere Monday.
Will you marry me?
The world is waiting.
One moment, please.
And we'll have to wait a little longer.
Really? You're going to answer that right now?
Leonard, I don't want to be rude.
It's the return of TV's biggest comedy.
Awesome!
Followed by the premiere of TV's smartest little genius.
Why can't we watch DuckTales? We don't learn anything watching DuckTales. It's TV. We aren't supposed to learn.
Young Sheldon premieres right after the Big Bang season premiere, CBS September 25th.
Good morning and welcome back to Mosaic. I'm Rabbi Eric Weiss and honored to be your host. We're in the middle of a wonderful conversation about the ways in which the Jewish community looks at building economic vitality and resilience in the community. And I'd like to introduce you again to Cindy Rogoway, who is the Executive Director of Hebrew Free Loan, and also Terry Lowe, who was a recipient also of a loan. So Terry, why don't you let us know what your experience with Hebrew Free Loan has been?
Sure, yeah. So I received an unemployment loan. It was about 5 years ago. I was laid off from my job. It was 2012. We were still coming out of the, recession, and I was laid off from my job. So it's always a hard challenge. But for me, it happened at a time when all these other things in my life were going, more things than you could really than I could have ever imagined. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had to put my house up for a short sale, so we lost our family home. And then I had a teenage son. He's older now. He was 15, and he went through a serious mental health crisis. So I was dealing with all of these things at one time, and I did not know really how we were going to survive. And a friend suggested Hebrew Free Loan.
And so you went to Hebrew Free Loan and you got what is called, Cindy, an unemployment loan?
Officially, the name of the program is recent unemployment. Somebody has to have been unemployed sometime in the past year. And it's meant to be, we call it Jewish unemployment. It's supposed to supplement whatever they might get from the state. But it is very difficult for people in a situation like Terry's to survive with just receiving the small amount that you can get through normal unemployment programs through the state.
And Cindy, I'm wondering if you can also talk a little bit about your experience with Terry, or also Terry, you just sort of chime in about the ways in which you use the loan, because an unemployment loan, I imagine, is different than building a business loan, and you have a different way of understanding coming through an economic challenge. And I'm wondering, maybe Terry, if you can talk about how you came through that unemployment and the ways in which really the financial assistance helped you, I'm not quite sure what the right word would be, but kind of bridge your life to a next place that you would land better.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the way the unemployment loan works is that you're allotted a certain amount of money every month for up to 6 months if you remain unemployed. And you also have to check in with Cindy once a month, or with your loan officer once a month, to kind of let them know how it's going, your job search, et cetera, et cetera. So, that was actually a big form of even support. I would check in with Cindy. She would give me, she'd ask me how my job search was going. She would connect me with people saying, have you talked to this or that person? So it was a practical support, and just helped me pay the bills during that period. And then even more, it felt like it was a big emotional support. I mean, I think who else but your family is going to give you a loan? And like, I don't have a job. I've got all these expenses. I'm not sure when I can repay you, but I'm sure I can. Oh, and the other thing with an unemployment loan is you don't actually have to repay it for like 3 months after you've gotten the last loan check. So you have 9 months interest-free, no loan payments. Who else are you going to get that kind of help from?
Yes, you know, Cindy, Terry's story reminds me, also looping back a little bit to Greg's story, who got a business loan, that if you go to a financial institution like a bank or a credit union, typically the way you get a loan is really on an economic filter.
Right.
And the relationship is, from the financial institution perspective, is we just want to have by X date of a month X dollars to repay, and that's kind of it.
Right.
And that's the limit of the relationship. But through Hebrew Free Loan, it also seems that you are engaging the whole person. So whether it's a business loan or other kinds of loan programs, and certainly with Terry's perspective, is there's a certain kind of assistance that you're getting. So it's actually a kind of emotional assistance, economic assistance, consultation, that really there are all the different human elements that go into really building resilience. And I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about what that more holistic approach is all about in the sustainability of finances.
Sure. That is, to me, it's essential because, as you mentioned, as Terry described her situation, there were so many more things going on in her life than simply needing an infusion of cash. And we see ourselves as somewhere between a family, a social service agency, and a financial institution. We're all of that rolled into one. And we try to meet people where they're at. Every person who comes in who has an initial need for some kind of cash, we get to know them as a person. That's a large part, we believe, in also in a self-serving way, why we have such a high repayment rate, because we really build those connections with people that are lifelong. I could tell you stories about just about every loan recipient who's walked through our doors. We get to know them as people. They get to know us. They feel a commitment to repaying us, and we feel a commitment to help them in every aspect of their life if we have the ability to do so.
Wonderful. We're going to take a quick break and then come back here to Mosaic in just a moment.
I'm Stephen Colbert, and this year I'll be hosting the What, seriously? Already? I just started. I want to thank my high school acting teacher, Mr. Farber. I love you.
Stephen Colbert hosts the Emmy Awards. Live tonight, only CBS.
The Decades TV Network, a daily time capsule of news, history, and entertainment, with different programming each day. You can find Decades on Broadcast Channel 5.2 and on these cable providers.
For more information about Hebrew Free Loan, please visit their website at www.hflasf.org or call them at 415-546-9902. Welcome back to Mosaic. I'm Rabbi Eric Weiss and honored to be your host. We're in the middle of a wonderful conversation about the economic viability of the Jewish community here in the Bay Area, and I'd like to reintroduce you to Cindy Rogoway, who is the Executive Director of Hebrew Free Loan, and Terry Lowe, who was an unemployment loan recipient. So, Terry, I understand there's just a wonderful evolution in your particular story with Hebrew Free Loan.
Well, there is, and this is not what happens with most of our most of Hebrew Free Loan's loan recipients or the unemployment loan recipients. Cindy, did you want to tell what happened?
Well, it was actually a few years after she'd received the unemployment loan that we posted that we had a job available, and Terry contacted me and said, do you think I might be appropriate for this job? She was already working. She had resolved a lot of her financial woes and other troubles, and I said, you would be perfect for this job. She had really impressed me during the interview period and beyond, and I was delighted to bring her on board, because who better to interview potential loan recipients but someone who'd been through it on the other side. So today Terry is a loan officer with us, as well as a development associate helping to raise funds for the agency.
That's wonderful. You know, it reminds me that any agency has lots of different components that make it viable in and of itself. And so I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about this broader holistic approach. How does Hebrew Free Loan itself receive funds to then otherwise distribute back to the community? You mentioned that in 1897 a few men gave quarters and created that first initial pot. And can you talk a little bit about today what that initial pot now looks like for the Hebrew Free Loan? And also, if you can also tie in this way that we've talked about a holistic approach, I would imagine that as people become more economically viable, they too start to give back. And I'm just wondering if you have any sense of the ways in which recipients from Hebrew Free Loan become philanthropists themselves into the community and give back at large.
Sure. We are still dependent upon donations from the community 120 years later. Our numbers look a little bit different. Our first loan was $10 back in 1897. Today we have over $15 million in assets. Most of that is out in the community. We have almost $10 million out in the community, helping over 1,000 loan recipients. And as they pay that money back, we move the money forward to help others. But we're always trying to grow that pot, because the more we have in assets, the more we're able to give out to members of the community, and the rest is invested. And that's a large part of what Terry is helping us with. We definitely, to answer your question, you can tell a little about the Full Circle Club. We do have a program to help people who've been loan recipients who come full circle from being a borrower to being a donor.
Wow. Believe it or not, we have just 30 seconds left. So can you say in a moment how people might be able to contact Hebrew Free Loan to actually support its work in the community?
Absolutely. They can contact us. They can get onto our website. We have actually a brand new website with a very user-friendly donation page. They can call us. We have the Full Circle Club has periodic gatherings where we welcome people.
Cindy Rogoway, Terry Lowe, thank you so much for being with us with this wonderful conversation. We encourage you to think about this issue in our community and at large. And thank you for joining us here on Mosaic.